Welcome. We are broadcasting live from the mothership. You are tuned in and listening to Starseed Energy Radio with your host Jonah Bolt. Starseed Energy Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. Starseed Energy Radio goes live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, Spaceship Earth? Thanks for tuning in. You are now receiving a live transmission from Starseed Radio. It's time to hear the colors and see the music. I'm your host, Jonah Bolt, and today is Monday, September 29, 2014. And first, just want to say what's up to everybody on the airwaves out there. We're now hitting 162 countries worldwide, downloading Starseed Radio on iTunes. It's just amazing. We have a new time slot. We are now Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Eastern Time and 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific Time. So this is going to be awesome. So thank you for all the fans and all the support out there the last 4 years. It has been just an amazing, amazing show. We have two awesome guests for you coming on the show today. First, I'm going to go over some news and updates. But first, we're going to have joining us, we have Ryan Dernick, our very own Ryan Matthew Dernick from BellwetherPost.com. We're going to talk a little bit about the Middle East and ISIS, the Ebola outbreak, some Earth changes, and we're going to touch on Ukraine and Russia. On the second half of the show, we have Dr. Richard Allen Miller coming on. I love Rick. He's great to have on the show. You can check out richardallenmiller.com for his information. He was an original Men in Black in the 60s. He was also Navy Intel for 11 years with the Navy. He's also been a Harvard professor, a writer for Nexus Magazine, an engineer at MIT as well as at Boeing. So when he comes on the show, I know he comes from a lot of experience. We're going to be talking about some new carbon molecules, some C60, as well as maybe we'll touch on Fukushima and some other things out there. So again, just want to go over some amazing new updates here on the Starseed side of things. We got a couple articles I found over the last few days, and I'll post this stuff up. You can always check our Twitter feed for the latest news and updates. Check out starseedradio.com. You can see our weekly guests as well as all of our updates and stuff right there. Check out starseedradio.com. This first article I just want to touch on really quickly before we bring Ryan on, and this one is titled Psychiatric Drugs Send 90,000 to Emergency Rooms Each Year. And this is something we've been talking about for years in the show. I mean, it is just out of control that 1 million American children between the ages of 0 and 5 every year are being prescribed psychiatric drugs. 1 million kids every year? It's crazy. Not just that, but for all ages, more than 10 million Americans took ADHD drugs. 41,000 took antidepressants, more than 6,500 took antipsychotics, and 36,000 took anti-anxiety drugs. What I'm saying is 79 million Americans, which is more than 1 in 4, are currently prescribed psychiatric drugs. Okay? Let me just say this. There is a natural mineral on this planet for every type of disease or drug you can think of. HIV, cancer, Ebola, whatever you can think of, there is a mineral on this planet naturally that can cure you, not taking these chemically filled psychiatric and crap drugs that really have alternate reasons for why they're giving it to you, meaning calcifying your pineal gland, things like that. So I'll post this article up, but this is just horrible to read this. How many people are drugged up? I mean, seriously, look at TV now. Every other commercial is selling drugs. Are you feeling sleepy? Are you feeling happy? Are you depressed? Are you this and that? It's out of control. So you got to be aware of this stuff because there's natural remedies for everything out there. One of the minerals that we're going to be talking about from here for the next year or two is shungite. Check the homepage of the website. Check out shungite. Check out what that does. We're going to talk a little bit more with that when Richard Allen Miller joins us. Another article I threw up, and this one's a little on the wild side, but if you read into it and check this stuff out, it's not so wild. This one's talking about Peru claiming that there are negative alien ETs attacking the whales and dolphins. Now, we all know that dolphins and whales are highly advanced species in terms of their consciousness, communication, things like that. So this was an article that came out about a week or so ago, and it's an amazing article because it really goes into the science behind why a government would want to target and kill whales, and dolphins. One of the people in the article, who's also a good friend, I just spoke to him a few days ago, Mr. Alfred Lembrant Weber, who also wrote, BP Gulf oil spill threatens whales, dolphins, and ET ambassadors vital to Earth's light energy grid. They know what's going on in terms of the higher reasons and frequencies that these dolphins and whales bring to the planet. BP, the oil giants, these guys know that. They don't like them, so they're trying to kill them. So check that article out. Do your own research, as I always say, because doing your own research, you learn for yourself. I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm just here to share my experience, some knowledge that I've gained, and have you, the listeners, check it out yourself. One more quick article from WakingTimes.com. Fluoridated water can calcify your arteries, study finds. Now, we've been talking about how this fluoride calcifies your pineal gland, which opens you up to the higher realms, higher dimensions, to your higher self. And those are the type of things that the government and powers that be don't want us to do. They don't want us to really expand themselves for our true potential. So fluoride is not good for you. It's not good to swish around. It's not good in your toothpaste. It's not good to drink. The article quotes, there was significant correlation between history of cardiovascular events and presence of fluoride uptake in the coronary arteries. The coronary fluoride uptake value in patients with cardiovascular events was significantly higher than in patients without cardiovascular events, meaning fluoride clogs your arteries, calcifies your pineal gland, and shuts it down. They don't want us open to the real reality. And with that, we're going to jump to our very own Ryan Matthew Durnick, who's been on the show for a couple years now, and we always have him back because he's so well-rounded and educated about so many events and so many things out there, so it's great to have him back with a new time slot. With that being said, Ryan, thanks so much for coming on the air. How's it going?
Hey, Jonah.
Doing good. Excited about our new time slot. We're now live in 11 to noon Eastern time, and we're just going to rock it out. We got lots of news and updates to keep people up on every day, so make sure every day people tune in. You have your website, bellwetherpost.com. You got lots of news articles you're posting up. So let's jump into what is going on in the Middle East with ISIS and this whole debacle over there. Let's start with that. Tell us about ISIS and what's going on, Ryan.
Well, as you know, they've been doing a battery of strikes over the last couple of days in regards to keeping ISIS in check, and that has ultimately been in regards to what the United States sees as a very promising campaign. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates participated in the strikes as well. You have the Syrian foreign ministers saying that air assaults alone will not succeed. They've been pushing, and there's been hints of this, as you've heard, even before we started the airstrikes, that there's been a curtsy. You hear Obama say we won't have troops on the ground. You hear generals say, hey, we might have to have troops on the ground. And as British jets took off from Cyprus to carry out strikes on Islamic State ISIS in Iraq on Saturday, and U.S.-led strikes continued in Syria and Iraq, President Obama used his weekly address to say the American leadership was was a constant in an uncertain world, saying that we're very consistent in how we go about bombing people in other countries. I would agree with that statement, and we also do drone strikes to cause the intertribal warfare, which is part of divide and conquer. But Obama says that America is leading the world in the fight to degrade and ultimately destroy the terrorist group known as ISIS, and that he made it clear that America would act as a broad coalition with all these other countries in concert to basically take down ISIS. And as they say, like as this goes on, and they're saying, oh, we're going to take down ISIS. Now NERSA, a new front, a new variation of what is really Al Qaeda. If you hear ISIS, it's Al Qaeda. If you hear ISIL, it's Al Qaeda. It's the same basically group of people, of radicalized fundamentalists that went about and were utilized to do the attacks on 9/11. And what do you think?
And we're trained by CIA and other factions of our own government.
And mercenary companies like what used to be Blackwater, but they changed their name to Z-Corps because they got to rebrand themselves because they had a little legal problem.
Way.
You got to reinvent yourself if you have an issue like that. So I totally understand. You got in the business of killing people, and a number of the NERSA. Now, NERSA is a different aspect of Al Qaeda, ISIL. Front militants were killed in the first strike on Syria on Tuesday, and more than 200 strikes have been carried out in Iraq since August 8th. So,
okay, Ryan, hold out right there. We got to take a quick commercial break, and we'll jump right back into ISIS when we get back. But the bombing campaign and what's going on ain't going to work because ISIS is embedded in the community, and we'll talk more about that. So hang on right there, and we'll take another quick commercial break. Welcome back to the show, and you're listening to Starseed Radio, and before we left for break, Ryan, we're talking about ISIS, and all this, again, it's just a recreation of CIA operatives, just like 9/11 was an inside job. They brought down the towers. We all know that. If you don't know that, do your research. This is just another extension of the elite trying to cause mayhem and chaos because they don't want the planet ascending. They don't want consciousness raised on the planet. They don't want all of us to really awake. So they spray us with chemtrails, GMOs, fluoride in the water. I mean, you name it. They're doing everything they can to stop us, but it's not working. So let's go back into ISIS. Now, what's going to happen to ISIS? We're going to send out a bunch of planes. We're going to bomb the crap out of these countries. And what's that going to do? It's going to cause more hatred. I
think it's going to cause more destabilization. As you know, that there's been an evacuation of Syria and surrounding communities, and you've had a lot of a displacement of large populations in the Middle East. As you know, Turkey's taking on more and more refugees. And so what you're seeing is a further destabilization of the whole Middle East via ISIS, which is a great vehicle to further destabilize and to further entrench NATO, the United States, and make the American people and other countries think, Westernized countries, that we need to be there because it's such a chaos-riddled
it's a great fear campaign because now ISIS is going to attack the U.S. Right? They're going to come get us in the U.S. Oh my God!
Yep, they're going to get us. They're going to get us. Yep. And as that came out on the Daily Mail, we will make some attacks in New York soon, according to Canadian jihadists, who they said was dead. And the video was last week of Farah Sherdun, a former movie theater employee from Calgary, making claims that ISIS has its eyes on the White House. This Somali Canadian was interviewed via the internet by Vice News, and he's in his early 20s. He was incorrectly, as I said previously, declared dead in August, and he's the nephew of the former Somalia Prime Minister Abdi Farah Sherdun. So this Canadian jihadist that everyone thought was dead comes out of left field. He's alive, and he's like, hey, guess what? I'm the poster child for initiating or saying that we're going to initiate attacks in the United States. He goes on to say, God willing, we will make some attacks in New York soon. We're mobile for a brilliant attack. My friends, I don't know what kind of friends would like to be attacked, but it sounds like he's just he's basically a sycophant for attention.
Again, this just goes into all the listeners out there. We're not trying to pump fear at all. We're trying to pump awareness to be aware of this stuff, because the only way any of this stuff is going to stop is if the people stop it. Like Occupy Wall Street, the people rose up. They didn't succeed with what they wanted because more people should have been there, and they should have some more leadership things going on. But anyways, if the people don't rise up to stop this, to stop the wars, the governments don't control everything. That's what's happening. They are. It's the people. And that's what we're trying to do, is raise awareness so the people can rise up. And so let's jump from ISIS. Let's jump into some Earth changes. Lots of stuff going on the planet. Volcanoes, sun flares, lots of things. Tell us what's going on.
On Saturday, as you know, unfortunately, there was a volcanic eruption. Not really forecasted or anticipated at on the mountain of Antaki in Japan, in central Japan, and unfortunately it did claim the lives of 30 climbers, and military and other rescue workers began airlifting more than two dozen of the bodies from the ash-blanketed peak of Antaki's volcano in Japan on Monday morning. So the family members of the missing just waited nearby at an elementary school as they got the bodies and brought them back so they could have a proper burial. And my condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to the families and everyone that lost someone on that mountain. And the scenes are just harrowing. If you saw it, the video went instantly viral on YouTube. It shows the clouds coming down as eruption occurs. It shows the ash cloud come down and engulf and basically shroud these clamoring sightseers and climbers down the mountain that just caught off guard, and now they have, of course, to raise the alert level for that mountain to that volcano to a level 3, which is meaning that no one is allowed to go and sojourn up the mountain for any kind of sightseeing reasons or anything like that. And so the 27 others that are listed as having heart-lung failure, customary way for Japanese authorities to describe the body until doctors can examine it. So a lot of what happened was you have silica and you have very microscopic particulates, the same way that the aircraft, you can't have aircraft flying around volcanoes. When you're breathing those in, you're inhaling microscopic little glass particles, which actually can induce an asthma, and you basically asphyxiate or suffocate. And so that's really what happened to a lot of these unfortunate people that are caught off guard on the mountain. And aside from that, there's been so much uptick in the Ring of Fire around the Pacific Rim. Aside from that, you've had the Mammoth Valley crater has had over 700 earthquakes, even a couple more earthquakes today in south central California. And yesterday there was a 4.4 in Central California as well. Whether or not that was directly or indirectly from the Mammoth Valley. And most people don't know that in Mammoth Valley, that area, there is a super caldera. There's not just one super volcano in the western United States. There's a multitude, okay?
Yeah.
If you go look west of the Cascades, okay, there's many active volcanoes. And then Mount Shasta, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday previous, had a critical collapse of part of the glacier. And they said, don't worry, this what's going on with the glacier in Mount Shasta, which is also a pretty large volcano, and it's called the Light of the Light of the Pacific, basically the Lighthouse of the Pacific. This volcano hasn't really erupted since 1786, but they said, don't worry, this is just because of the ongoing exacerbating drought really gripping California right now. So whether or not you want to believe that commentary saying that it's
we always know they're going to warn us everything is okay, Ryan. We know everything is okay. It might explode, but why are we going to tell people? Because they're going to freak out. It's cool. It's cool. Yellowstone's cool. Everything's good.
Exactly. And then to the drought, now they're saying in Northern California, which is near Mount Shasta, and also by Napa Valley. And keep in mind, Napa Valley, where that earthquake occurred, one of the largest earthquakes in a while in California, 6.1, I believe it was. It basically caused a plume of fresh water to be coming up from under the ground in Napa Valley. Whether that, again, is indirectly because of all the seismic and volcanic activity in and around California and surrounding states, is yet to be determined by the specialists, because the specialists said it's all because of a drought, okay? That's why everything's happening. The drought, the seismic activity is increasing because of a drought, and volcanic activity is increasing because of a drought. Yellowstone swelling because of a drought. Mount Rainier's showing unrest because of a drought.
And this drought, you don't think has anything to do with maybe the global spraying of the chemtrail program with weather manipulation?
Oh, no. The 20-year now finally revealed global weather controlling operation, geoengineering. No, it has nothing to do with that at all.
No, it has nothing to do with the chemtrails being sprayed worldwide with the manipulation of our weather that's going on since the early 90s.
So have the public not focus on the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Let's watch Dances with the Stars. Howard Stern's going to talk about the next best talent on Who's Got Talent. So that's what we got to focus on, everyone.
I don't even know what Dancing with the Stars is. I keep hearing about this. Is it?
Oh my God!
It's like a TV show or something.
It's a TV show of celebrities and football players and NBA players that want to. I'm going to take my try.
God, everybody must be watching that then. Football players and movie stars. Dude. Oh God!
Between fantasy football and Dancing with the Stars, I mean. I know a lot of people pretty much got everything covered. They know what's going on in regards to entertainment. And don't forget to watch TNC, because you got to watch that too.
Yeah, the football and everything else is just like the gladiator games in Greece. While the gladiator games are going on, Greece is burning, and everyone's dicing up Greece for their own pockets. Same stuff that's going on, but hey, it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, bread and circus. Here's some more bread.
The bottom line is you need to spread this stuff, and you got to spread the awareness, because the only way any of this is going to stop, chemtrails, GMOs, whatever it is, you got to talk to people. You got to talk to people. You got to spread the awareness, and that's what this is about. So, Ryan, again, thanks for coming on, giving us some updates. Check out your blog, bellwetherpost.com, for latest news and updates. And as always, we'll have you back on the show to give us the latest news and updates on Earth changes and everything else. So, Ryan, Star Brother, thanks for coming on again. We'll have you on.
Thank you, Jonah. You have a good day.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Starseed Radio. Thank you, Ryan Dernick, for some news updates and also some Earth changes. And now we're going to go to our next guest, another regular of the show. We have Dr. Richard Alan Miller, who's well-versed in many different areas, as I explained before. And we're going to talk about some interesting different things today. An herbalist, a physicist, a scientist, and has a wide spectrum, a range of different topics and awareness of all different things. So with that, Dr. Richard Alan Miller. Rick, thanks for coming on the show. How you been?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. So we were just finishing up, Rick, with Ryan, and we were talking about weather manipulation and the droughts that are going on and all this stuff. And I also see on your website you have a breaking article about the NASA documents revealing climate change caused by covert weather weapons. Little-known NASA documents revealed the mission of military and federal agencies to modify the climate. So if you would, Rick, tell us a little bit about what's going on in that area, and then we'll go into the C-60 and the Florians.
Well, yeah, they're related. Actually, it's called a geobomb, and about a month and a half ago, they detonated two of them simultaneously, one over the island of Hawaii, and the other was over Tennessee. And that's the aberrant weather that both Tennessee and Hawaii observed. The bomb itself is how they do it. They have a what is called an extremovite bacteria. They've taken from the stratosphere and they've modified it into essentially a kind of a nanobot that creates a special polymer. Polymer is plastic. They line that polymer with barium oxide, and that acts as a desiccant to pull moisture out of the atmosphere itself and into what would appear to be fake clouds. Now, why are they doing this? Well, there's a number of different explanations. Dean Winnington and several others have exposed the global warming myth, but really it's a weapon for deploying a new Star Wars weapon, and these clouds are used as a waveguide to direct the energy beams. And what they're doing, like 9/11, is they're using a type of fullerene that is impregnated with 20 deuterium atoms, molecules, water molecule, deuterium water. And when they hit it with a laser beam, it reflects inside the buckyball and causes the deuterium to begin fission process. And this is in a 1 nanometer space, which means the precision for a what we call a tactical nuclear weapon is unbelievable. And when you look at Building 7, when it came down in a obviously a controlled demolition, the building itself vaporized. Now, thermite will not do that. Thermite is an extreme, but it's not that hot. And there was this one beam that was over 617 feet long that as it began to fall, after the building had fallen, the beam, you could actually see it vaporize as it began its fall. That's why there was no debris. It went into dust. And basically, the temperatures we're talking about are supercritical plasmas that are like 60 times hotter than the surface of the sun. It'll take steel and just vaporize it. And to realize they can do this with an aircraft, they most likely did that at Baghdad Airport. This is a type of neutron bomb that is being used everywhere now. And geo is their experimental thing. And how we knew this bomb was experimentally blown in the atmosphere is that NOAA infrared captured it. And there was this big tornado that was heading toward, it was a tropical storm that was heading straight for Hawaii. And like most tropical storms, it veered off and was going out into the ocean and starting to dissipate. And all of a sudden, they saw this explosion. It was not a boom explosion, it's a heat explosion. And what that does is it just super cavitates the air around and causes an artificial storm to occur. And they did it in Tennessee, and the havoc that wrecked was unbelievable. And then, of course, the collateral damage was that it modified the weather movement in Hawaii to the point where there were those two hurricanes that were coming in right afterwards. They didn't hit, and they actually detonated two of them. One over the big island of Hawaii, and then a smaller one went over Maui about, I think it was about a half an hour later. Wow. It's all done with a laser beam from space. They no longer need to use HAARP.
So when you talk about this geoengineering and the chemtrails, there's obviously alternative motives for everything, but the newest one is what you're saying also is tied in with the C60 fullerenes. How does that tie into that?
That is correct. That's taking 60 carbon atoms and forming a buckyball with them. And what that is, it's like a Dyson sphere around our sun or something. And what they do is they put 23 deuterium molecules inside the buckyball, and then if they can put a laser beam inside the buckyball, and I'll talk about that Air Force research that's doing, what happens next is that the laser beam reflects off the different surfaces into the center and causes the deuterium to fission. And it's a fission bomb. And it's done on a nanometer because 60 carbon atoms are approximately, when they form that ball, are approximately 1 nanometer, 1.2 nanometers. They're very small. And that means, and that structure, that geodesic dome inside, can hold and contain the fission process. And so they have complete control of it. And they build it up like a nanotubes to the point where what they have now is a very precision bomb that will vaporize anything. Something out of Star Trek or something. And it's not the laser light that actually does it. The laser is used to start the process. And actually, it's quite insidious because fullerenes are carbon atoms that form structures that are, there's a C70, there's a C, I think 120, where they will form types of geometric balls. The one that's associated with buckyball is the C60 molecule that is structured like a geodesic dome. A very strong structure. In fact, they're now discovering that structure is probably about 1,000 times stronger than the diamond carbon structure that we normally associate with it. It's very, very strong. And Japan now is actually developing a nanotube technology that will allow the building of an elevator into space. Where I
just read that. They want to have it done by 2030, I think it was.
Yeah, well, that's in 2030. They think they have the technology. Supposedly by 2050, they'll be having something that everybody can use. Now,
that's right.
That's one point. The second is that NASA says that Fukushima was an extinction event, and there won't be any life, per se, as we know it, in 2050.
And talking about Fukushima...
What that means is that's why there's all this interest in Kurzweilian, the so-called transhuman movement, and the Avatar program, where we become virtual by 2050.
And
so it's the science on this is creepy because with fullerenes, the Russians have been doing some studies.
Yes.
And a fullerene nanotube turns out to be, that's a structure that might have 20 million little buckyballs in a line, and it forms a nanotube that acts as a super antioxidant. That what they're doing in reproducible studies is that they're giving lethal doses of radiation to rats, feeding them fullerene water, and there's a 95% recovery. And this is reproducible. And we're now understanding what the nanotube does is it goes in after specific isotopes and heavy metals, surrounds them, wipes them out, just out of your body, which means we could be doing things with bioremediation, that kind of thing. However, rather than going in that direction, the primary search right now is toward weapons of war. Just like they did with nuclear energy.
Hold on 1 second. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and I know you got to leave in a little bit, so we'll take a quick commercial break, and then I want to go into the C60 a little bit more, so hang on right there. We'll be right back.
Metal under tension, digging you to touch, girl.
Welcome back to the show. You're listening to Starseed Radio, and I know Dr. Rich Allen Miller, you got to go soon. So real quickly, everyone out there listening to Dr. Rich Allen Miller, he's got a wealth of knowledge, and not just that, he has an amazing book, which is just phenomenal, including Power Tools for the 21st Century. You can check out www.oak-publishing.com or check out his site, richardallenmiller.com. And, talking about the fullerenes with the chemtrails, and we know these things are nanoparticles, multidimensional. I mean, they're using them for all different things, weapons, One of the things that I spoke out and stuck the most about what you sent me was the fullerene C60 was also used to develop new CPU transistors, which also helps data information. Can you talk a little bit about that, Rick?
Well, I don't know as much about that, but it has to do with the concept of the structure in water. Now, Jerry Pollack came out with his exclusion zone book called The Fourth Water. There are, by the way, 18 phases of water, of which Mars has a special kind of water that we've now discovered with Curiosity. But the idea is that water's ability to store information, memory, is literally 10 to the 6 times more efficient than gallium arsenide right now. And our computers in the future will probably use water as the storage data point.
Wow. That's amazing. And we know that from many studies now.
Basically, water is so small in comparison to everything with hydrogen and oxygen, number 1, number 6, that there is no molecule that's quite that small other than things like helium, which is, He2, which is relatively uninteresting because it does not have a dipole moment. And water has an isomer, which means it's also levorotary. That has a ortho and para water, which are reflected images. Then you have deuterium and tritium, and then you have hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, where when you bring another hydrogen molecule in, H3O2, it becomes exclusion zone water, or easy water. And that is where the interest is now lying in nanotechnology because of the ability of the diversity of structuring and the way it bonds with itself that stores information.
Excellent. Well, with that, Rick, I'm going to let you go. I know you got to get running, but we'll have you back on again soon. Thank you so much for always coming on. And next time, let's talk about a little the Fukushima disaster and some other things. But everybody out there, check out his book, New Power Tools for the 21st Century. It's an amazing read. And check out richardallenmiller.com for more information and news. Rick, thank you so much again for having on the show.
My pleasure.
You got it. All right. And with that, we have a couple callers in line. We'll take a call in a second. But I just want to point out, what Rick is talking about, these C60 molecules and cells are contained in this stone shungite, which is what we've been talking about. Shungite is, if you go to starseedradio.com, you'll see shungite on there. I drink shungite water every day. I put the shungite in my water, purifies it of anything, fluoride, chlorine, radiation, anything. And this isn't stuff we're making up. We're talking about these stones you could put in water, and it purifies the water by changing the molecular structure of the water into fullerenes. In 1996, there was a Nobel Peace Prize run for it, for the discovery of the fullerenes, named after Buckminster Fuller. There was also an article by the New York Times done in 1992, I believe, about how fullerenes can stop the growth of HIV, cancer. So this is real factual stuff. So the mineral shungite is available. We sell it. We have necklaces. We have all different stuff. And this is something I'm going to be pushing for a while because it's needed. It stops EMF signals. It's an amazing, amazing mineral. So check out starseedradio.com or starseedtechnologies.com, and you can read more information on that. So thank you, Rick, for bringing your diverse background of physics and everything in there to the forefront with shungite, because shungite is where it is at. And with that, we have looks like we have a caller. We'll take Steve from Colorado. Steve, thanks for coming on Starseed Radio. How are you?
Hey guys, it's nice to hear that people are talking about this, because I know a while ago people were out in the streets in their libraries, saying, "Look up, chemtrails, you're being poisoned," things like that. And I know it's real. I mean, when I had a YouTube account, they were starting with that cap and trade. They always change the name of everything here. Now it's climate change, the climate bill. And when I said, gee, I wonder why, I wonder how our water is being, our lakes, our reservoirs are being droughted out, and our weather is being changed by, chemtrails. And then when I said that, oh, forget it, I started a spark from, I guess it was a YouTube troll. I call them trolls because there's a lot on there.
Oh yeah.
And this guy was spitting out a lot of opposite information about the falsehoods of chemtrail information, and he had all the science, this bogus science to back it up, like planes go by at different altitudes, and you get crystals, you get these
oh yeah,
and I mean,
yes.
It sparked because I picked up on it, and I know for a fact with my own experience, when going and walking to a park or walking in the street or something, and I literally see a storm coming in, a storm, like a rainstorm, and you can see it. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, there's these lines in the sky. I'm talking, they're sprayed real low too, and you hear the thunder ready to come or whatever, and all of a sudden, boom! There's no rain. It's just gone. The storm was gone.
And Steve, I've been outside in North Carolina up in the mountains, and I've seen them spray it. I'm out at the park, and within an hour, that stuff comes down, and I have been sick. I got bedridden before the chemtrails came down, and I felt dumbed out, like, I couldn't even think. So they're spraying not just aluminum, barium, they're spraying all sorts of chemicals.
Well, yeah, let me ask you this question. You're in North Carolina. Now, I'm in Colorado. They stopped for about a week and a half. Surprisingly, they didn't let up for months, like months, years.
Yes. Yeah.
They keep on going 24 hours a day, and I know. Okay, and I'm from the East Coast, by the way. Okay, it's horrible on the East Coast. I know when they're spraying. When I wake up in the morning, my sinuses are all dried up with in your nose. Okay, and you can barely breathe because your sinuses are clogged up from it. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
And, I hate to say it, but you have to clean your nose out, blow your nose, whatever you have to do to get it out. And this has been going on for years. And I said, you go to you go to one state to the next, and as a kid or even as a teenager in your 30s, you go back. I don't know how old you are.
35.
You can tell. Well, see, I'm a little bit older than you. When I was a kid on the East Coast, we knew when the summertime was coming in the winter. We knew when the spring was coming. We could smell the air. We could literally, our senses could smell when the seasons were changing. And it's so bad that, I have a friend that lives in New York, and she works for the Postal Service, and she said, I cannot believe how people don't have the time to even look up in the sky.
Yep, it's that simple. That's simple. If people were to just look up and see the chemtrails and see the sprays, it's not the condensation, it's not contrails. Yeah. They're literally spraying us. And we're at a time, and I appreciate the call, but I want you to watch a video, Steve. There's a video by Rosalind Peterson. It's called The Chemtrail Cover-Up. Write it down. She worked for the State Department Environment and Agriculture for the state of California, and she blows the whole lid off. It's Rosalind Peterson, The Chemtrail Cover-Up. It is one of the most profound videos I've seen on chemtrails, so get it out there, repost it, YouTube it, and thanks for calling in and supporting the show. Spread the awareness, Steve. That's all we can do is talk about it and spread the awareness because it's real. All right, and with that, we're going to wrap up the show. Again, check out StarseedEnergyRadio.com for the latest news and updates. We have a Twitter feed, Instagram, all that stuff is out there. iTunes. You could also download us in the Amazon.com, or if you got a Windows phone, we also got the Windows app. We got the iPhone app. So stay connected, stay plugged in. And again, the only way to stop this stuff is to spread the awareness. It's not fear-based. We're not going to be like, oh, the sky is falling, but be aware of it, because if you're not aware of it, you can't do anything to stop it. It's not about ignoring it. A great Zen or Buddha master is aware of all of his surroundings. A great Zen or Buddha master wouldn't say, oh, no, I don't want to know about the weather. I don't want to know about 9/11. No. They want to know and be informed as much as they can so they can make the best decision on how to react to whatever comes their way, knowing all the information by being aware. Be aware of your surroundings. This stuff is happening, and the only way to stop it. Every night I see. With that, we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the day. Starseed Radio.
Catastrophes, terrible wars with weapons we can't even imagine today. They will come on ships, underwater, and with unbelievable speed through the air, with fire and gas and vapors.
And things like that. So I'll post this article up, but this is just horrible to read this. How many people are drugged up? I mean, seriously, look at TV now. Every other commercial is selling drugs. Are you feeling sleepy? Are you feeling happy? Are you depressed? Are you this and that? It's out of control. So you got to be aware of this stuff because there's natural remedies for everything out there. One of the minerals that we're going to be talking about from here for the next year or two is shungite. Check the homepage of the website. Check out shungite. Check out what that does. We're going to talk a little bit more with that when Richard Allen Miller joins us. Another article I threw up, and this one's a little on the wild side, but if you read into it and check this stuff out, it's not so wild. This one's talking about Peru claiming that there are negative alien ETs attacking the whales and dolphins. Now, we all know that dolphins and whales are highly advanced species in terms of their consciousness, communication, things like that. So this was here for Nexus Magazine, an engineer at MIT as well as at Boeing. So when he comes on the show, I know he comes from a lot of experience. We're going to be talking about some new carbon molecules, some C60, as well as maybe we'll touch on Fukushima and some other things out there. So again, just want to go over some amazing new updates here on the Starseed side of things. We got a couple articles I found over the last few days, and I'll post this stuff up. You can always check our Twitter feed for the latest news and updates. Check out StarseedRadio.com. You can see our weekly guests as well as all of our updates and stuff right there. Check out StarseedRadio.com. This first article I just want to touch on really quickly before we bring Ryan on, and this one is titled Psychiatric Drugs Send 90,000 to Emergency Rooms Each Year. And this is something we've been talking about for years in the show. I mean, it is just out of control that 1 million American children between the ages of 0 and 5 putting Starseed Radio on iTunes. It's just amazing. We have a new time slot. We are now Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Eastern Time and 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific Time. So this is going to be awesome. So thank you for all the fans and all the support out there the last 4 years. It has been just an amazing, amazing show. We have two awesome guests for you coming on the show today. First, I'm going to go over some news and updates. But first, we're going to have joining us, we have Ryan Dernick, our very own Ryan Matthew Dernick from BellwetherPost.com. We're going to talk a little bit about the Middle East and ISIS, the Ebola outbreak, some earth changes, and we're going to touch on Ukraine and Russia. On the second half of the show, we have Dr. Richard Allen Miller coming on. I love Rick. He's great to have on the show. You can check out richardallenmiller.com for his information. He was an original Men in Black in the 60s. He was also Navy Intel for 11 years with the Navy. He's also been a Harvard professor. Right, every year are being prescribed psychiatric drugs. 1 million kids every year? It's crazy. Not just that, but for all ages, more than 10 million Americans took ADHD drugs. 41,000 took antidepressants, more than 6,500 took antipsychotics, and 36,000 took anti-anxiety drugs. What I'm saying is 79 million Americans, which is more than 1 in 4, are currently prescribed psychiatric drugs. Okay? Let me just say this. There is a natural mineral on this planet for every type of disease or drug you can think of. HIV, cancer, Ebola, whatever you can think of, there is a mineral on this planet naturally that can cure you, not taking these chemically filled psychiatric and crap drugs that really have alternate reasons for why they're giving it to you, meaning calcifying your pineal gland.
Welcome. We are broadcasting live from the mothership. You are tuned in and listening to Starseed Energy Radio with your host Jonah Bolt. Starseed Energy Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. Starseed Energy Radio goes live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, Spaceship Earth? Thanks for tuning in. You are now receiving a live transmission from Starseed Radio. It's time to hear the colors and see the music. I'm your host, Jonah Bolt, and today is Monday, September 29, 2014. And first, just want to say what's up to everybody on the airwaves out there. We're now hitting 162 countries worldwide. Download